Okay, guys, we're about to sit down to watch
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
finally. So we haven't started yet, but what are the expectations going in?
um, so I'm. It's gonna be better than the old one, right? Definitely gonna be better than the other one, and I'm cautiously optimistic. That's the most I'm gonna say right now.
I don't know whether I'm expecting that much of a dramatic difference. It's still a Zack Snyder film, after all. But I could be hoisted on my petard for saying that. This could be an amazing film. I could be crying at the end, thinking this is amazing, this is beautiful, this is a masterpiece. Doubt it though. But yeah, we'll find out
Yep. We'll see you on the other side.
later.
Voltron
What's
Network.
up, guys, and welcome to the DC versus Marvel podcast, where we talk about the latest DC and Marvel news. My name is Uz, aka Uzimandias, representing the DC corner, and on my left, or is it on the right? I'm not quite sure the way it comes out on the YouTube. Right, is my boy Ed, who's representing Marvel Comics, but also Christmas as well. So
I do represent the Marvel side, but I'm making an exception. I thought I'd bring this out. Special occasion because, hey, man, who hasn't been? Anyone who's a comic book fan has been waiting for this moment, regardless of whether what side of the fence you sit. Everyone was interested in this, so I'll represent this week for once.
Yeah, so guys, today we're doing a special on Zack Snyder's Justice League. Goes without saying, there's going to be spoilers in this. So if you haven't seen it already, and I know one of my friends is actually actively texting me right now, like literally just like being like, "Oh mate, yeah, this scene. Oh my god, what's going on here? What's going on there?"
Wow,
just
now.
He's just literally just like sending me stuff. And one of my other friends who's like a really big kind of like DC and Marvel fan. It's like he's been trying to find a way to like see it like legit, and literally just like only now has like signed up to like Sky or something like that. So yeah, he's seen that. So if you haven't seen it, see it, come back here, listen to what we've got to say, and hopefully
Are we both wearing the wrong top? You're wearing a Venom top. You're
I'm wearing
Marvel this week, and I'm the one wearing Superman top. What the hell?
I've actually got a Christmas jumper like that, but a Batman Batman one.
I wanted
So
that
what we
one,
do-
but it was sold out.
So on Christmas we got
We'll break them back
we
out.
got to
Yeah.
wear that. No, the reason why I was wearing this is basically because I wore the Justice League one when we had our business meeting between our business colleagues all together, and basically so that's in the wash there now. But also there was a teaser for Venom there as well, and I got quite excited, so I was kind of just like, I got got to represent Venom. But we're not talking about Venom there today. We're going to be talking about the Justice League, man. So yeah, hotly anticipated. Before we get into the film there itself, just briefly, man, what was the kind of initial thought before you were even watching it? Were you just like cautiously optimistic, or were you just like, this is going to be great, or you didn't have any thoughts about it, or what?
I was pretty realistic with it. I wasn't expecting it to be massively dramatically different. From the source we had, they gave us like an early preview of it. We pretty much knew it was going to be the same basic story, a few extra scenes. It's going to look pretty. The action was going to be a bit expanded, still going to be cool, but it probably was still going to have some issues. In the end, I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected I would. There are still issues. It's not in that masterpiece bracket that some people are putting it in, but it was still an enjoyable experience overall, regardless of a few nitpicks.
Yeah, that's true, and we could nitpick to death, or we might actually nitpick some bits. We will nitpick some bits, but yeah, with me, I was cautiously optimistic. I enjoyed the film big time, but there were a few things there that that kind of just made me kind of tired by the end of watching the film. I found the film quite a hard watch, and sometimes you're watching a film that is like that long, right? And it's like you know, you watch you watch, say, a Lord of the Rings extended or something like that, and it's like you can sit there, you can watch it. It's like you're not really even that tired by the end. You just kind of think, man, this film is just, going on. But I think part of the issue was for me was that a lot of the stuff in like the final act was similar to the original Justice League film, and because of that, I wasn't that like into it. And then I was also thinking, okay, now we've got all the cool stuff that I wanted to see there before, and now it's just like, okay, let's just end this now. You know what I mean?
It would have been really interesting to see what this experience would have been like if we hadn't have seen the 2017 film. If this was just the first thing we'd seen straight after BVS, it would have been interesting to see what this experience would have been like. What if?
Yeah. So I was talking to a mate of mine about this film, like literally like straight after he'd seen it, and he was going like, yeah, man, some of these things weren't surprising because they're in the trailers. And then he was telling me, right, and it was like there were things that I was reacting to because I'd literally only seen the first trailer and then decided I'm not watching anything else after that. But there was stuff like, apparently like there was a lot of dark side stuff in the trailers. There was Superman in the trailers. There was Mega Beams in the trailers. And I kind of just think to myself, like, I'm so glad that I only saw the first one and then just didn't see any of the others, because
That's exactly why I avoided the last couple. Like, I saw the first one, and knowing that it was going to be limited what new footage there was, like there was, like, you could say 2 hours worth, but it's still limited footage that they were going to focus on those trailers. So you're going to see all the good little surprises. It was all going to be given away. So yeah, I had a feeling they were going to give away a lot more dark side stuff. So I didn't want to see that. So I stayed away. Glad I did.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So, like I said, guys, there's gonna be a lot of spoilers in here. We're gonna go through the film, the characters, all that kind of stuff, and then give our kind of verdicts there as well. So, let's talk about, before we talk about the plot of the film, let's talk about characters in the film there and their comparison between the 2017 version and this version there. Who did any of the characters stand out better or worse, or what?
Well, the obvious one is obviously going to be Cyborg, Ray Fisher. He actually had something to do this time. Now, I'm not going to say that I necessarily found him likable. A lot of people, he really kind of touched at the heartstrings, for them. Because it was the whole about loss and losing his mother, and then him trying to come to terms with what this monster he'd become, and then finally forgiving his dad right as he loses his dad. Like, there's definitely an arc there of his journey. But the thing about him, I don't know whether it was clouded by all the other stuff outside with his constant moaning and complaining. It's kind of clouded my opinion on him. Even though it turns out he was, for the most part, right when it comes to the whole Joss Whedon thing, but still, doesn't make him any more likable for me. So, but he definitely kind of benefited the most from all of this.
I have to agree about Cyborg, because I kind of feel like there wasn't a huge amount of difference between, basically what they're trying to show is like he had all his life ahead of him, all this kind of stuff was going there for him, and then he was changed into this cyborg monster, which is literally Ed's dream. He would love that to actually occur. Like, sign him up.
Boston Dynamics, get in contact. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Sign him up for
that. Get rid of this flesh sack.
But basically, the interesting thing about it was that I didn't see a great deal of difference in like personalities of the two types. But obviously, he's very robotic as Cyborg, but there is like, we didn't have enough of him in previously to kind of say like, right, okay, for me it didn't feel like I could say, okay, this guy's really, really suffering now. Okay, he's staying indoors, but everybody's been indoors for the last 2 years, you know what I mean?
Like in the last one, he was just pissy at his dad. Just for, it was like, your dad saved your life, why are you moaning so much? In this one, you got a little bit more context to that attitude. It still was a little annoying to me, but still, there was more context to it, because the dad was more of a character as well. That actor wasn't just there for 5 minutes like he was in the last one. It was a legitimate role that guy had.
Yeah, exactly. And that guy is always turning up,
Yeah.
creating messed up stuff in films that he
Yeah.
shouldn't be touching.
Terminator 2. Yep. All that.
He should be doing, and he's done it again. He's done it again in this mission. Um, for me, obviously, massive Batman fan. I was absolutely appalled in 2017 what they did to that character. Like literally, just ruined that character.
You know what?
Um,
Originally, I was feeling like, yeah, he's come out a lot better at this, and for the most part, he has. But looking back at some scenes, I'm starting to feel like this Batman or this Bruce Wayne and Batman, they're a little bit too diplomatic to me in this.
yeah.
They're he's
Hmm.
not arrogant enough. He's not telling people what to do. He's kind of like, oh, we should. What do you guys think about doing this? You know, you think this to be good?
Yeah.
He seems too like a team guy, and Batman's
Yeah.
supposed to be the dickhead that's like, telling everyone what to do. Like that's the one thing Josh got right for 1/10 of a second when he confronted Diana in his version, where it was like,
Hmm.
so where have you been with everything that's been going on? What you lose your boyfriend and you just hide away. That was the one thing that I think should have been kept. Maybe not the way he
Yeah.
reacted to getting pushed, because he acted like he was scared. He could have toughed it out a bit more, but that line should have been still there.
Yeah, I mean that's half the magic of Batman, is the fact that literally they tolerate him because he's
Yes.
basically the master technician, but tactician, sorry, but actually in reality he's absolute arse basically, right? And even when you go into the kind of the lore of DC and stuff like that, and see the kind of stuff that he's actually done to the Justice League, it's kind of like you can see that he's not a nice person. But obviously,
No.
I guess within this, the problem is that by the time the Justice League are actually formed, he is like he's basically like at the end of his career pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, he's been doing this 20 years. Now it should be that he's been doing it maybe 5 to 10 years by the time he meets these guys, and is like, feeling like, okay, they're getting in my way and stuff like that. But I guess for the story it has to kind of be like, okay, I've made a promise, I've got to do whatever. So yeah, I'm a bit ambivalent about that, to be honest. But what about what about the Flash in this one compared to the other one?
Barely an improvement, if any. Like he's just the same. He's not no different. It's just the choice that the actor made, just to play that character like he's, I don't know, super neurotic or autistic, or he's not quite sure, but he's just too much for the
Yeah.
jittering and yeah.
Do you know exactly what that reminds me of? Do you remember in Transformers there used to be this character called Blur, right? And Blur was like this ridiculously quick. I think it's like in it wasn't in Generation One. It's like G2 or whatever. He turned up when
Yes.
Hot Rod and stuff were around, and he used to come in and he used to like speak like super quick, and everybody's like, oh god, this Blur. But they used him for like missions where you got to go fast, because he was like super fast, right? But at the same time he was just so annoying because he'd say stuff so quickly. Sometimes he'd be sent by like Ultra Magnus to go and explain a plan to Rodimus Prime, right? And he would just go and do it, and Rodimus Prime would be like, "What the hell are you trying to say?" Because you're just talking so quickly and so ridiculously, and half the stuff you're saying is backwards, and that's what reminded me of the Flash. I was just like, this is literally like Blur to
Yeah.
to Rodimus Prime and stuff. So that, I don't know. To me, I don't know if I was a Flash purist, and I'm not, because Flash is all right character, but he's not my favorite. I would kind of look at this and think, okay, this guy's nothing like Barry Allen, but can I accept it being like that? I don't know. I'd have to ask somebody who really likes the Flash, the
Yeah.
character, where they kind of accept it. He's not even like a Wally West. He's kind of like more. Yeah, I couldn't even say he's more like, because even Wally West is not like so, you know, silly kind of thing. I can't remember the kid's name now. It's not Kid Flash, it's the other one. I'll have to have a look because I can't remember. He's more like that, the one who's in the Young Justice League, not in Teen Titans. Anyone remembers, they'll have to tell me what his name is, because I've totally
Wasn't that
forgotten
Kid
what
Flash?
it might be Kid Flash. I can't
Yeah.
remember. The one in Young Justice.
Yeah,
He's like
pretty
that.
sure.
He's basically that kind of behavior, basically.
Mm.
So yeah, I you know,
What-
to
I was hoping they were going to change the way he runs, but no, still does the whole
skating.
Yeah, and he
Speed
was just
skating,
doing
yeah.
all this slow motion shit with his hands. I'm like, what? How you doing? Why?
The whole problem with speed skating is basically those guys are like unbalanced. So they're actually unbalanced and they're trying to like get balance all the time by kind of like skating around something. Whereas the thing is that once they've kind of got that, they're kind of sliding and sliding and sliding because there's literally no grip on the on the ice, right? The whole point in this is this dude is running around, you know, on normal ground. So you know there shouldn't be a reason for him kind of doing that. But
I guess when you really look at it, they were trying to kind of show that instead of constant contact with the ground, he was like one step every with every step he like travels 2 miles, and it was that's why it was so slow. But yeah, it just didn't look visually
it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great.
No.
And I'm one of these people who I have a thing about running in films. I really do. Like it like tells you like who's an athlete or not, whether they've got a
the way they stride,
style. Yeah, you could just tell. Like if somebody doesn't do it, then I can tell straight away. Okay, this is done in a little studio, and they're trying to pretend like they're running, you know, fast or whatever. And just ridiculous.
It's crazy because the Flash TV show actually gets it pretty decently well the way they show him running. You know, like crazy.
Yeah. So let's get into the film itself. And basically this film is kind of like divided up into 6 different parts, right? And you know, basically it's meant to like be chapters, or I guess like, you know, so people can take a break or something like that in each bit. What do you think of that chapter format?
I liked it. It did give you a way to kind of break up the story and kind of, even though for a lot of people were just going to watch it in one go, it still kind of felt mentally like a breather, a bit of a reset mentally from like the big crazy scenes that you just seen.
And it did actually feel like each bit was in a chapter, you know, each section that they did do.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like 6 acts there to it, basically.
Yeah, you can definitely see where, you know, they dabbled with the idea of it maybe being broken up into like 6 episodes instead of just dropping it as one.
Yeah, yeah. And I wonder whether the reason why they didn't do that is basically because each episode doesn't really end on like a cliffhanger kind of thing. It kind of has its own like chapter and has, you know, beginning, middle, and end of each part. And some of them, when they're not in context with the other parts, don't work like, you know, amazingly well. The storyline, what did you think about the storyline here compared to Joss Whedon's one? I mean, there's not a massive amount of difference in it. You know, but you like get generally like
you get better motivations. Like probably the person who I think came off the best out of everyone, maybe even better than Ray Fisher, was Steppenwolf. I felt like he felt like I even felt sorry for him at times. Like I was like, let him come home, please.
I want to know what he did. I actually want to know what he did. I want to see what he did. Because basically they're like, you know, he basically backed somebody, right? He backed somebody to take over Apocalypse, right? And you know, as a DC fan, you're kind of thinking, man, this is going into like, you know, crazy kind of territory. You know, when we got like the Death of Darkseid story, and you know, the Darkseid War story, where basically like, you know, Lex Luthor takes over as Darkseid, and all the Darkseid forces are like following him and stuff like that. It's just like, you know, that kind of stuff. It makes you kind of think in your brain, oh wait a second, are we talking about some kind of coup or something that happened on the planet?
It's like a guy that got kicked out the house and like, you know, Darkseid's the ex-girlfriend that caught him on Instagram looking at some chick's profile and was like, get out.
Yeah, he basically was like, "Get out," but because you're my uncle, I
Yeah.
kind of you go and get me 50,000.
The SARS, like the
50,000
fat
pounds.
girlfriend that's like cop blocks and gets in the way. Like, no, you can't talk to him. Just stay where you are.
Oh
But yeah,
man,
his whole motive of why he's doing what he's doing, rather than him just be like, mother, like in Joss Whedon's one, was just cringe. Besides even just the way they look, but also the way he goes about finding the mother boxes was, yeah, you actually get him discovering them and looking for them rather than him just turning up everywhere just magically.
yeah,
And even just the way the
yeah.
communication, because I always wondered what that big slab, what the point on that big slab was
Mm.
in Joss Whedon's version. It was like, do you need to store them in this slab for what reason? What's the point in this? And now you have a point there. It's not only a
Yeah,
way to store
yeah.
them, but it's a way to communicate back to
So we
Darkseid
could,
and
yeah,
Decide and
to
all that.
communicate back to Apocalypse there,
And
basically.
and a very
Yeah,
cool
and that
visual
was the
that was
thing.
as well.
I, I, I like the fact that literally, like, when they're communicating back to Apocalypse, it's like you you can't talk to the main man. It's like
Yeah.
you're talking to like the minion guy, and once you prove yourself, then you can go and go and talk to Darkseid and stuff like that, man. There were some things that I was kind of I was looking at. There was like a surprise, because obviously I hadn't seen some of the trailers and stuff like that. So certain parts that kind of confused me a little bit. For example, like when Steppenwolf was like going around, he's like, he sees all this writing on the planet, right?
Mm.
And I was thinking, this writing doesn't look like anything that I've seen there before. It didn't look like the way the anti-life equation is written down in the comic books or whatever. And then he's like, "Oh, it's here," and I was thinking, what are you talking about? You know the mother box is here anyway, mate. And then afterwards, then he started talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I found the anti-life equation." And I was like Vince McMahon, man. I was just
I saw you, the look on your face. You were like, but what did baffle me a little bit as to one of the nitpicks is that Darkseid saw this. He discovered it when we saw the flashback, and then he
yeah,
kind of uncovered it. So from that point that he lost that fight, how did he forget where it was? Like, did no one
yeah.
just decide to, okay, keep note of this planet? We're gonna have to come back here in a couple of thousand. Like, what? How did he forget that it was there?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, I think it was more like, um, you know, basically, there was somebody. Well, that's the part where it makes no sense, because apparently there should be somebody there always who they're scared of, right?
Mm.
Which basically makes me think that, okay, when all of those guys were all there together, there was Atlanteans, Amazonians, what's it
Oh
called,
God.
humans all together, Green Lanterns together. We'll talk about that crazy scene there in a minute. But when they're all together, basically that is the group of people that Steppenwolf is like, there's no way we can go and invade this place there now, because we're going to lose again,
Mm.
because they've got this group of people. So there must have been some Green Lanterns protecting, because at one point he's like, oh, no protectors here, no Kryptonian, no
Yeah.
lanterns, right? And then it's like, okay, well, at that point, it's like, right, now we can invade, because the
But they acted like
Kryptonian
they
came.
didn't know it was there, though. They acted like it was a discovery, like they had
Yeah,
no idea it was there. So they'd forgotten at some point somehow.
yeah. I mean, it's, I guess, been a few thousand years maybe
Yeah.
since since it happened and stuff. So, yeah. So one of the big things that kind of changed is that history lesson, like at the start, right? Which is like, very kind of Lord of the Ringsy kind of
Yeah.
battle, where it basically had, humans, Atlanteans, Amazonians, old gods, um, Green Lantern, just craziness, man, just going on in that thing. And I was watching that, and I was like, what mad person would have cut this, right? Honestly, like, you have to have been insane to have cut this thing. So I don't know. what the reason was for kind of
Time,
getting rid of
innit?
that. But
Like, as much as Joss Whedon does deserve a lot of hate just for his accusations that are, the way he carries himself, especially during the Buffy years. But as far as him taking on Justice League, I'm not as crazy. I'm not as angry at him for that, because he was given a job to do, to cut it down to a certain length, and then to do that, you got to make massive sacrifices, man. And this
yeah,
inevitably was going to be one of them.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a thing, man. It's obviously it's a difficult decision, I guess, for those people. But it's kind of interesting because that you basically, even Warner Brothers even now are, there's behind the scenes people are saying that they basically still have zero confidence in this cut, right? And it's basically AT&T that heard, saw the buzz and were like, fine, let's just do it because we're going to make some money off it. It's a business at the end of the day. So yeah, I mean, that I thought was amazing. Just
Yeah, it was cool.
the fact of seeing, the old gods and the green. I mean, the Green Lantern got his ass whipped, man, within like 2
True.
seconds.
Very quick.
Green Lantern of Earth just got annihilated, and then the ring just chipped off, which which for me, obviously, we'll talk about the cameo and the reveals there later on. They always do this in films, right, where they hint something, and then it comes later on, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. So for me, when the ring chipped off, I was like, there's going to be a Green Lantern in here somewhere later on, right? It just has to be, because you basically, in effect, said this ring has chipped, and there has to be somebody who is going to have this ring on this planet at some point, right?
Yeah, but you're the DC guy, but from my understanding of the Green Lantern, one, this flashback is like 5,000 years in the past, so it could have hundreds of owners before it gets to any any other new Earth bound lands. But also, once the person dies and it flies off, it's intergalactic. It doesn't just stay on the planet that it.
No, but then
moves
it's whoever's protecting that sector, right? So somebody has to basically go and protect that sector. So you got it would have in our timeline, it would have been like Abin Sur or potentially Hal Jordan, I guess, at some point. They haven't had any multiverse stuff, so it can't be.
They
It
don't
can't be
extend your
Jessica
lifetime,
Cruz or
do they?
anything like that. Not really, no. Unless you're, Jordan and Carl Rayner's lifetimes have both been extended, but that's because they got exposed to, the White Lantern complete spectrum, basically. But yeah, I mean, I would have thought at some point they would have teased like an Abin Sur turning up or something like that, because then you would have been like, oh, we see the ring that chipped at that point. That means that there are still like lanterns around here.
Snyder said
also
that when Snyder was asked about adding Green Lantern, saying that he wanted to add Ryan Reynolds, but that was one of the things that Warner Brothers put their foot down. Not in reshoots, but originally when he originally shot Justice League, and it was like they had plans, but they didn't know what those plans were for Green Lanterns yet, so they didn't want to let him do anything that might contradict whatever they were going to do. So that's why it never happened, and he never shot anything for that.
Well, even just the fact of like, and this is one thing that Marvel does extremely well, is basically like, okay, well, if you like this, we got another one like this that is coming soon, right? And they do it extremely well. If you've got this and it's like, okay, well, Green Lantern Corps is coming, why not? Why not then say like, okay, even if it's like even if it's like a teaser there to it, at the end, which I'll tell you later what I kind of thought, what I wanted it to be at the end there. Then it just makes people think, okay, let's go and see Green Lantern. It just brings up the hype every single time.
Gets it talking, gets people talking.
But yeah, it seems like they obviously didn't want to do that. One thing that, yeah.
I was going to say, what did you think of the old gods, the Ares, Zeus?
I thought
Artemis, I presume it probably was with the arrow.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty cool, man. I thought they were pretty cool. I was thinking, I wanted more of like Zeus being in the sky, like firing bolts down and stuff like that. It would have been like cooler,
more
like
in the sky.
literally just like flying up in the sky, chucking a bolt down. Because the thing is, whenever I see these superhero films, one thing that has to differentiate if they've got like a big battle is they have to show their own power set and their own power set working and why they're using that own power set. When you've got somebody just firing, bolts at somebody or whatever, then it's like, okay, fine, there's no plan to the battle, right? If you know what I mean. When somebody when armies battle, they don't just go and everybody just fights each other. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to fire my bolt here. You come in there with the arrow. You do a pincer movement for the other bit. Those kind of things are in the Lord of the Rings were like perfect because you could see each group of people doing different things. I think superhero films have always lacked in this. Always lacked in this. It's kind of just like even people who are great directors like Nolan, right? When it came to like the Dark Knight Rises, and he just puts Batman in the middle of this crowd just fighting, right? And it's like
Nolan is not good. I was rewatching Dark Knight yesterday, and it's like I was just surprised watching like action is really not good. Like he's really not good at showing the Batman fighting and taking on the bad guys. It's just it's like a TV level sort of action.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, it's you have to show like this person using their power set, which basically means that they can allow somebody else to use it. There's like no tactics there. Where it's just if Darkseid used any tactic whatsoever, he would have won, like big time. It's interesting they called him Darkseid as well, because at that point he would have been Yuxas rather than Darkseid.
That would have been confusing though. Only you guys would have understood that. People at home would think, oh, wouldn't they call him Yuxas earlier? Who's this? A different guy? This is like his dad or something? Yeah, you can't confuse the civilians, man.
Yeah, that is true. One of the things that both noticed was just a massive change in cinematography in some of these things.
Such a difference.
Just even
No, go on.
Even like scenes that seem like that weren't that great, like the bank scene.
That's what I was gonna get to. That's my there's a lot of differences throughout the film, but for some reason that one stuck out the most for me. When I watched Whedon's version, the way he graded it, the various shots he used, it felt small, it felt cartoony, and just like a little skirmish, like wasn't even that big a thing. Even though these guys had bombs in the thing and the school kids, it was tiny. But for some reason, the way Snyder graded it, it looked so much bigger. Didn't even look like the same building. It looked so much grander and cinematic. It was just so bigger. It was like, wow, it's such a difference. Just small little changes.
Even the action scenes just seemed like
she was straight killing the guy. She was just
just like threw one dude through the wall, one dude flipping just in front of the bomb, just exploded.
But there were like dents in these marble walls from human skulls hitting them. Like, oh dear.
Yeah.
Patty Jenkins must have just been crying. We needed this to get rid of that taste out of my mouth of 84.
Exactly. And then one of the kids is like, could I be like you? It's like, what? Straight up murderer.
Somebody report that kid. She wants to be a murderer of men.
Yeah, exactly. She's gonna grow up to be this like a hater, just like just killing people.
That's just occurred to me. This little group of school children have just watched a dozen men get murdered in front of them, and not just drop dead, like crushed bones. They're just laying there around the room, oh wow,
that's a lot of Robins. That's a lot of Robins that are gonna be made. A lot of red arrows.
Well, no complaining, guys. We love that scene. It was awesome.
It was amazing. It was awesome because it just literally I was just shocked about seeing these dudes just like fly. I've always had a problem with that scene, even when I saw it in the 2017 one. My main problem was just the dialogue and the setting of the of those guys, because fine, you're meant to be some kind of reactionary terrorist or whatever, And I'm assuming that they played the lines for jokes, that when one of the guys, the lasso ran, he's telling the truth, and he's like, "We're a small group of reactionary terrorists." Now, the thing is this, yeah, when you say that, immediately what you're doing is you're actually minimizing the situation. It's not like, oh, okay, we're like, I don't know, KGB or something,
Yeah.
right? Or we're,
Or
whatever.
one of many, a part of a bigger threat that's
Yeah,
going on.
yeah. We're basically, when you say, oh, we're a small group, it's once they're gone, that's it.
That's it. That's over.
Later. No, forget it. You might as well just like decimate the whole lot, which is exactly what happened. So we go from that. I think
One
yeah,
last little thing about that scene. We know how much Diana is into the preservation of history. Statues, the arc, all of this, and
What?
this is in the middle of London. You ever been to London? Everything's old. 500 years and older. And she just blew out the side of this historic landmark building. That shit. That's just funny
Yeah,
to me. I don't know why.
it was like, it looked like St. Paul's, right? And I was thinking, because I've seen the inside of St. Paul's, and I was like, it looks like the inside of that kind of dome, right? And and they're just wrecking it, man, just totally wrecking it. So yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, then obviously where we've gone to Themyscira stuff, which even
Oh,
that, man,
so
was just
cool.
like 100 times better. Like,
Just took me back to 300. The way that was shot, and just the epicness of it. Yeah, it was very cool. Just made it. Yeah, it just made it so much cooler than what we got.
yeah, just the way the fighting was done. Steppenwolf seemed more menacing. I was actually just like, he's gonna straight up wreck people here, man.
Yeah,
He's literally, it just, yeah. It's like he didn't care, man. He was just like, just going and like, chopping people, or just like he just didn't care. And it was like by the time the cavalry arrived, man, and literally just a massive cavalry of just over the mountain. That was it. He's just like, he's chipped and he's done. You know what I mean? He doesn't need to even bother about all that kind of stuff. So that massively improved.
yes,
I mean,
love that scene.
it does still have the same kind of storyline there of it, but it made more sense, and it was kind of right at the start there as well, rather than kind of in the middle
and
to the end of the film.
So much more epic as well. The fact that destroying those pillars didn't just shut down the doors, it made the whole thing just crumble into the ocean. Which wasn't there before. It was just like, wow, this is massive.
Because in the original film, when she's like, bring it down, it's like, okay, well, they could at some point just reopen that thing there again. It's not, but it was like the gravity of that situation to say like, break it down is like, yeah, this is really, really gonna get totally destroyed there now.
Hundreds of my sisters sacrificing themselves.
Yeah, that was just crazy. So then we go into act number 3, and before we talk about that, I'm just gonna address the elephant in the room. Yeah, Eds, have you downloaded Icelandic sea shanties?
Oh, well, one, it was the fact that there was this. Even the Icelandic song itself didn't bother me. It's the fact that it went on for so long. And then there was that one chick with the mad teeth and the creepy eyes that decided to just sniff the jumper, which just added to the madness of the whole scene.
Yeah. Basically, she was like just smelling the jumper to be like, oh, Aquaman was some kind of like god to them, kind of thing. It was like the god of the sea or something like that. And it was funny because it was like, he was, in the 2017 one, you could see some bits were reshot and stuff. But this one is like, I was thinking, is this dude actually in this freezing ocean? Yeah, because
it looked like it. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, how long can you actually stand in that thing without dying or whatever? That whole thing just looked way more epic.
I was even going to say, just what preceded that, the conversation in I guess it was like a bar, something like a pub. A lot better, way better. The fact that there was this other guy that Bruce was initially referring to, but he kind of knew that Momoa was the
Yeah.
dude he wanted. But yeah, that he was talking through him, it just worked a lot better than what we originally had.
Yeah. It just all round, just huge improvement. So, but I mean, by the time this was happening, I was just continuously smiling, man. I don't know I don't know what was. I was just like, okay, well, this is just great so far. Like the whole thing. And I guess by that point we were only like an hour or so in, so it wasn't. It wasn't as if like fatigue had like kicked in or anything like that. So the next bit's obviously we're going into like this into the recruiting phase, right? Because we end up finding out like um, you know the, the whole idea of what the invasion was, you know, dying going down, finding out,
That was
all of
cool.
that kind of stuff.
That was cool. The way it was like some little Tomb Raider thing that she actually finds some other little route and drops down into like a hidden tomb that no one knew about. Yeah, initially in the first film, 2017 version, it looked like that was like the pantheon that they'd set fire to. Guess you didn't,
Yeah.
but it was just they didn't really hint that it was actually this smaller temple that was specifically just for Amazons. That was just
Yeah.
a smaller place. And yeah,
Yeah.
that was cool that she went down and found all these little Tomb Raider things, but the arrow in the wall and found the whole stuff that just told the story of the UXAS invasion.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was like, oh, let me go ahead and talk to Bruce about about doing stuff. So obviously then he was back from the Aquaman thing, and they were just like, let's try and recruit these other people and stuff like that. The thing is this, where with any of these films, right? With any superhero film, you can't look too deeply into this stuff, man. Because while I was driving back here, I was thinking to myself, does it really matter if you just got Aquaman or not? You've got the entire Atlanteans. Why don't you just go and speak to them? Like literally the entire race of people
That
who
would have
all
been,
have who all have ridiculous power levels, right? Why don't you just say to them, guys, could you come help us with this
and the
with this
Amazons.
mission or whatever? Yeah, exactly. Or can you come and help us with this with this kind of thing.
That would have made sense actually, just to get them, because they're all just there, just chilling at home. They know the gravity of it. They've been guarding the mother boxes for thousands of years, so it ain't like it doesn't affect them. That they don't care. Yeah.
So it's like obviously they tried very much to make this kind of thing like a Lord of the Rings kind of thing, where it's basically like you had instead of humans and elves and all that kind of stuff, you basically got you got the humans, the Atlanteans, the Amazons, and they all kind of are meant to link together. Now, one of the things in Lord of the Rings that was always great was basically that even though the elves and and the dwarves and all that kind of stuff, they had their own kind of specific thing, right? And they were given the rings because they had certain power levels or whatever. When they actually went to go and fight against Sauron, it was like, okay, there's a reason why they ended up winning, because when the dwarves and the elves and the humans got together, each of their leaders was amazing, and they were all able to kind of fight and eventually defeat Sauron. And with the humans, they had this, they had the leader who's the descendant of not descendant, ancestor of Aragon or whatever, and basically the whole thing about him was he was this great leader, and he's a great fighter there as well. But I didn't get to see any of that with the human stuff in this. And I was kind of thinking, okay, they just got like random race of humans all over the place, like 5,000 years ago. Looked like Genghis Khan's kind of Mongol hordes. Was one of
couple
them.
of them, yeah.
There's the armor was all wrong on all
over the place.
Anyway, oh my god, it was so. I've been watching recently this thing on YouTube where it's basically like like they talk through like different history and different battles and stuff like that. And this guy comes in, he like analyzes like armor and stuff that he's seen in films and things, and he's just like, yeah, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is the wrong era, this is like that. Right. And I just look at this, I was thinking, okay, well,
these humans are like literally from like from from like 1000 AD, and the Mongols are like from from 1300 1300 AD, and this is meant to be like 5,000 years ago. It's like it's just so bizarre.
One question: Are Atlanteans immortal?
I don't know. I don't know.
I was wondering, because at first I was like, oh, it would have been good if they could have got like Dolph Lundgren to come back, but then I wasn't sure whether, they would have been immortal, that he could have been there back then, like how the Amazons are. Probably not. Amazons are there; they're under a spell, aren't they? That's what keeps them.
Yeah.
So probably not. They probably will age out. Yeah. I was just curious.
Yeah, well, they would have known from their history anyway, I guess, that this thing is occurring and stuff like that. So
the difference in the security. You go to the Amazons, they've got a temple that's got like 100, 200 Amazons there at all times. You go to the Atlanteans, it's just in this little chamber. There's like, I don't know, 2, 3 guys just hanging out.
Exactly. They're thinking, oh, it's at the bottom of the sea. Nobody's coming there anyway. You know what I mean?
And then the humans just bury it 2 feet underground in a forest.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, here you go, let's just do this, whatever. It's like they've literally fought this battle that literally could have ended the entire place. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, let's just let's just kind of let's just put it in a ditch somewhere. You know what I mean? But that's I guess that that kind of happened in Lord of the Rings as well, wasn't it? Ended up in a river somewhere.
That was by accident.
It was accident. Yeah, it was by accident. So, so then we get onto this recruiting phase, and obviously, like, they've got Cyborg and the Flash being recruited. This is where some of the things started to trouble me a little bit, because, I'm a film school guy. I really love like really good film scores, right? And I kind of think there's appropriate times when you can have like vocal stuff, and there's appropriate times where you can have the actual score type stuff. And it pretty much seemed like continuously throughout this one section, and then after that every single section it was just vocal, like all the time, vocal, right?
Like the original songs that they kept adding in. I honestly wasn't a fan of any of them. The original songs, they just fell off to me. And I guess it was exaggerated, that word, but just the continuous, slow-mo that just kind of made it all a bit too much. And every time Wonder Woman turned up, her theme that just kept going off all the time.
Yeah,
it's just too much. But maybe it's like it is a 4-hour film, so maybe it's partly because of the length that it feels like some of it was too much.
I don't know. I think the vocal stuff for me was just like, okay, this is basically a director who's loving their own stuff too much. He's basically just like, oh, I'm gonna make it look like epic or whatever. And I think that this song is an epic way of showing how amazing this scene kind of is. But kind of some of the times when I was watching it, I was like, I would have much rather had like a Ludwig van Göransson or a Hans Zimmer score in some of these bits, because it needed a score rather than the kind of that kind of thing. That when the vocal stuff always works very well when you've got like a really sad scene, like somebody's dying or somebody's like, or it's like somebody has to do something to as a sacrifice or something like that, right? That's when those work really well. When you just put it randomly in certain bits, it's kind of like, okay, if you do it sparingly, it's fine. If you do it too much, it's just like,
or a slice of life where you're just dealing with regular people, like in Man of Steel, that there's a part when he comes out of the ocean after rescuing the guys from the oil thing, and there's that sort of old grunge tune that comes on while he's there going through the washing line, and that it kind of worked. It wasn't too over the top. It was on a little snippet. But in this one, like with, what was it, Aquaman, there's that scene where he was just slowly walking and drinking a drink.
It
was just, like, oh.
I was like, why are you doing that? Because it would have been better if they kind of had like more kind of like rock and roll guitar-y kind of thing like that, to say this is like a dude who's very rock and roll, doesn't give a stuff about
Yeah.
anybody or whatever. But yeah, that was that. I don't really like that. Then obviously we're introduced to Barry Allen kind of stuff, and he did show like his powers and all that kind of stuff. It's quite cool. I like the fact that he runs so fast, his shoes just explode when he
Yeah, when he turn around
when
and
he,
stuff.
when he turns around and stuff like that, and then runs through and things, and goes and saves people and things like that. So that was pretty cool. And then we end up getting to the
What did you think of that Barry Allen scene?
I thought it was all right. I mean, I thought it was it reminded me very much of like a 90s Spider-Man film setup, right? Because it was like a very like
Yeah.
olden style, like there's a dude driving down the road and he drops his food and now he's gonna cause a crash. And it's
Spends
like
3 minutes just not looking at the road, just grabbing this. I've seen little
Yeah.
edits on YouTube that people have already done where they've cut out that driver and they've cut out Barry like playing around with what's her face's hair, which has got some people a bit. But so he just kind of goes straight to him rescuing her and then just tilt, and it does work so much better when you just get rid of the other questionable stuff. But yeah, overall it was a cool little scene.
Overall, it's a pretty cool scene. Then obviously, then we go into more of Bruce Wayne recruiting the Flash, and this is when we get into the real kind of meat of the situation, where it's kind of like, okay, we're all together, we've got to go and stop Steppenwolf, and then they kind of decide like I thought this was a lot better when they talked about mother box, because before it was like, oh, we can use the mother box to kind of restart the Kryptonian ship.
There's a lot of presumption that things would do this, that, and the other. Whereas this, it was explained what they were. Then A led to B to C, and
and then they were like, okay, let's go and kind of get Clark Kent out, stuff like that, which is interesting because like there was one bit where like Cyborg and Flash were like digging it out and digging the grave, and I was kind of like, I was thinking, why the hell isn't Flash doing this in a second? And then he's literally like, we could do this in like a second, but it's kind of like the respect you're digging somebody's grave up and kind of getting it, and that also made a lot more sense in terms of the when they're trying to resurrect Superman and stuff like that with the Kryptonian ship and stuff. And the fact of they bring him back, very much obviously, like they've always said, Lois is the key kind of thing. So we get a very almost exactly the same scene that we had in the 2017 one, where he comes back to life and he starts trying to fight against the Justice League and stuff.
But a little bit extended.
And we don't get the silly conversation between him and Batman and stuff.
Bleed.
Yeah, you wouldn't let me live. Now you won't let me die. It's like, what's the worst thing ever? So we have that, and then obviously Lois takes him. The thing that cracked me up, right? The reason why I saw you looking at me because you're thinking, okay, this dude's like smiling about how he loves the scene so much. I was actually laughing because like Superman picks Lois up and he chips, and then you hear a sonic
boom. Yeah, we should have just blew her apart. I was thinking that cannot be healthy, if not frozen her just from the speed.
Yeah. He's going faster, and then you hear it again. This dude's going like twice the speed of sound. It's holding up the Lois.
They should have landed on the farm, and she should have just been naked because all the clothes just like exploded.
Yeah, exactly. Her ears just bleeding because like her eardrums just exploded because you've gone 2 times the speed of sound outside. You know what I mean? Just like complete madness. So they end up going to the Kent farm and all that kind of.
You skipped over the first Manhunter.
Yes. So that reminds me. So obviously you basically get like Martha Kent, and their place is foreclosed, so she decides to move into Metropolis and work in a diner, which they're actually doing, they did in the 2017 Justice League there as well. And then she ends up getting visited by, she visits Lois basically, and then tells her like, you need to get back into it, and get back into the Daily Planet and all this kind of stuff. And then it's revealed that this is General Swanwick, Martian Manhunter, right? And I was kind of like, I don't know if I quite like this scene.
Did not need to be there at all.
No,
at all.
it didn't. It didn't, because I thought the scene was quite powerful with Martha going to Lois, right, and basically going and being like, I'm here now. In effect, like, we never see General Lane or anything like that. So I don't know whether her parents are around or anything like that. But in effect, Martha's there. It's a surrogate for for Clark. And then we find out it's Martian Manhunter, which kind of makes you think at that point,
it's a dick move.
Did Martha ever visit Lois, or did she just appear in Metropolis? Just decided,
Yeah, you have to kind of think that at some point, Martha and Lois are going to have a conversation about what they spoke about picking up, and Martha's going to be like, "What are you talking about? I never came to see you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know where you live."
Yeah. Or Martha never moved to Metropolis, worked in a diner there, and decided that she's never gonna meet.
And why
Lois
does he feel the need to do that? As in Martian Manhunter. Why is it so important that Lois goes back to the planet? Like, what? She's a reporter, basically.
And then he turns back into General Swanwick with all his full military regalia and all his badges and all that kind of stuff, the missions that he's been on and stuff. I was thinking, they're gonna notice this 4-star general walk out of this apartment block, right? Somebody's gonna know, like, this dude, because in BVS he left the military and he became Secretary Swanwick. He was basically like the Secretary of State or whatever it was. She goes up to him and she's like, "Oh, Secretary Swanwick," because she knew him from previous. He'd moved up a level, and now he's general again. He's General Swanwick again with all the badges and all. I don't know, man. It's just to me, it was that didn't need to be there. That was fan service.
I never expected I would say this, but one thing Supergirl got right, besides the casting of the actress, who was awesome, is that their design of Martian Manhunter is way better than what we got in the film. Way better.
Yeah. The thing is, I just didn't like it, to be honest. I kind of think to myself, if you're gonna have something like this, and you're gonna have a reveal of a character or whatever, there are other characters that you could be bringing in here. There's other characters that you could be looking at or whatever. You could have like those. I mean, I think they're like 40 years old now, the two kids in Shazam, but basically like the two kids in Shazam, basically like seeing these events happening, and then showing stuff like that, or like the military seeing all these kind of things, and then it kind of hints to something else.
You didn't need anything, man. It's long enough as it was. You didn't need this scene.
I kind of think as well, it's emotionally better if Martha's coming to visit Lois. It's kind of like makes more sense if that's happening rather than General Swanwick's coming to visit Lois. So anyway, we basically get now the whole plan is come in motion. They're going to go into go and fight against Steppenwolf. He's already taken the mother box because he's gone and taken it taking it back to his stronghold or whatever. One thing before this, when obviously we're getting the stuff in Kansas and things like that, that was another thing, man. I was just like, the whole Martha thing made no sense, because it's like, they sonic boomed it to Kansas. Yeah, how long were they there? I don't know, because she's now driven from Metropolis to Kansas in her ancient truck, right?
Pickup.
And it's like, oh yeah, Clark, whatever. Is still. Anyway, let's forget about that, because you think too much about these things. It's a problem. So we now get into the final bit, and I don't know about you, but by the time this was coming up, like I said, I really liked the film. I was wilting at this point. I was kind of just like, oh, I'm getting really tired now of watching and stuff, because I kind of knew when they teased that kind of stuff there that it's like the battle's almost going to be the same.
At the well, I like the fact that they set up that in Whedon's version, the Russian town was an active town. It had a power plant in the middle, but there were still people living there. Whereas with this, made more sense. It was like a Chernobyl. It was abandoned, radioactive, which they liked because it added to whatever they needed. And I preferred that. She didn't need to evacuate people. Didn't have that annoying Russian family that we had in the other one. Yeah, and inexplicably, like, why were there no Russian military turning up outside of this big dome in Whedon's version, which this one's covered all that.
Yeah. So that I mean, it was interesting. I thought the fight, a lot of the fight stuff was better. Batman, grabbing the alien technology and using the alien technology against people and all this kind of stuff. And Barry had like a much kind of better role at this. I actually really like that Flash scene when he was just like, I've just got to run as fast as I can, because the whole thing in the Flash is always like, Barry just have to run as fast as he freaking can, right?
I'd like it if it wasn't just all of this hands wafting by his face stuff.
That's the thing. And then obviously, like, we get Superman turning out, a much better Superman than we saw in 2017. Much better interactions, face looked a bit better.
Do you prefer if Steppenwolf at least got one or two little digs in with Superman? Do you feel it was a little bit too much overpower, where you can just like, the axe comes and it's like, it's just...
It depends. From a cinematic point of view, I would have rather that Steppenwolf could have hit him a few times.
Yeah.
However, from a comic book point of view, no, because the whole point is that Superman is so overpowered that he can decimate pretty much any of Darkseid's army, apart from Darkseid, right? Who is basically a proper person you can fight against. So that kind of thing, when they did that, was literally like, okay, now that's why they spent all this time trying to get Superman back in it. And then that you realize that once there's a Kryptonian there, forget it, you're done, right? You're finished, you know what I mean?
If you were Darkseid, you know how powerful you are. You're overly confident. When that boom tomb opened up and he was watching all of that go down, would you have not just stepped through and then just kicked everybody's ass? Or at least shot a couple of your Omega beams out there and just kind of...
I guess so, yeah. But he's probably just like, he knew, like, it's anger more than anything else, right? You can destroy the Justice League, but isn't it better that you just take an armada to their planet and just annihilate the entire planet? That's a typical Darkseid move. It's just like, I'm just gonna annihilate the whole planet in front of them to like show them, what's going on and stuff. But that thing, man, when there was like Darkseid standing there and then Steppenwolf's head rolls and stuff, and then it's like he's looking through there and he sees the Justice League. I was like, oh damn. So, and it's literally like Superman's looking at him like, yeah, come and get some, mate.
Come and get it, man.
if you want to do it. And Batman's looking like, oh God, what have we started?
What the fuck?
What have we started, man? We didn't get to see Barry Allen's face because he would have been like absolutely crapping himself. But yeah,
people took it. This is a pet peeve through all genres of, not just the DC film thing, it's on TV shows and other stuff, probably happens a few times in Marvel. It's people that don't react appropriately to shit that they would never have seen before. Like Commissioner Gordon, when Cyborg turns up on that roof, he should have been freaking out like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Or even
would he though? It depends, because we don't know what he's seen in Gotham, right? Has he seen Killer Croc? Has he seen Clayface? Has he seen all of these characters? Has he seen Mad Hatter?
Has he still freak you out though? That's that. And even Bruce at the end when he sees Martian Manhunter again, just flying, he should have been a little. He was too like, so who are you? He should have been a bit more, like this is Freaking alien.
Yeah. Actually, he should have, because when in BVS, when all of that destruction and everything's going on, right, and he basically sees Superman kind of coming there, it's like he's properly angry, and he's like,
Yeah.
this alien has come to this planet. Now he's probably thinking, damn, there's another alien here, and I would be absolutely surprised if Batman himself was not just like, let me get my defenses up now because there's not a freaking alien who's come to like visit or whatever.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I
even
mean?
just to ask, what are you? Where are you from? It's just how can I help you? It's just too casual for me.
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
Girl Scout out your door.
way too casual for for a Batman kind of character. But so we had a obviously very similar ending. All the Justice League kind of standing there and stuff like that. And for me, that would have been the almost perfect point to end it, because I kind of think, okay, we've got the ending that we want. All the Justice League are together. You tease the fact that Darkseid has seen everybody, and he's like, forget about boom tubes, don't work anymore. We'll do this the old way. Prepare the Armada. It's like, yeah, you tease the next thing now. You don't need to do anything
Perfect
else,
end. But nope.
right?
30 more
Absolutely.
minutes.
Yeah, 30 more minutes. And I was thinking, what are they going to add in here? And they obviously add, Barry Allen going and speaking to his dad. That doesn't need to be there. Why does that need to be there?
Does not.
Doesn't need to be there. They add the bit about what's it called?
Lex in Arkham.
Lex in Arkham, which
Did
I
you see
can
the
kind of
sign?
understand. Huh?
Did you see the sign for Arkham?
Yeah. It was
Emotionally
mhm.
disturbed or something. Disturbed.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
instead of criminally insane, like it should have always been.
Yeah. I think
That political
this is
correctness kind of.
yeah.
Okay.
I think this is the modern day of
Oh,
what is going on.
and there's the big thing that we've missed that a lot of people are starting to pick up on now.
Mhm.
Lois, pregnancy test.
Yes, yeah. So that's the thing. Is like, at that particular point, this is the problem, because Zach has already said what this thing is, right? Which is basically saying this is Bruce's kid, right?
Oh no,
And yeah, so
I heard different. I
yeah,
heard him
so
say it was Superman's kid. It was Superman's kid, but the kid has no power.
that's what he's saying. That's what he's saying now, right? And then that kid is called Bruce Kent, and he's going to become the new Batman,
yeah.
Bruce dies or whatever. But before he was saying that basically there is a mission that kind of happens that basically like Bruce and Lois end up getting together, and then they have a kid, but then Superman raises that kid and he kind of accepts it as his own and stuff like that. And Superman fans are going nuts because they're like, what? Why is he gonna raise somebody else's kid?
I know, that's ridiculous, but it would answer why Superman would get so mad and be so willing to be turned by Darkseid in the Nightmare stuff that he hates Batman that much.
Yeah,
that would be
and when he's like, oh, you took her from me.
Yeah.
Right. That means something very different than what we actually think it
means.
We thought it was like she died, but actually no, it's because Bruce done that. Oh, Bruce
cuckolded him. Yeah.
Bro. Oh, Bruce. Yeah. So basically there was that. Then we were shown another kind of scene of the kind of dream sequence kind of section one we've had.
You want to get the Lex
occurred.
On the yacht out of the way first.
The Lex on the yacht, I could understand that as a stinger, right? So I would have finished it on the Justice League standing there. Everybody would have thought that's awesome. And then as a stinger, I would have had Lex on the yacht, because I thought that was done a lot better. Well, not a lot better, but I think it was done better than it was done in the Justice League 2017 film, because just the dialogue of what he was saying, he wasn't like, oh, we need to make our own team, blah, blah. He was just like, oh, and I think the reason why they changed it to that was because at that point Ben Affleck was going to make the Batman film, and it was going to tease into that, and everybody would be like, oh my god, like that. Deathstroke knows, that he's Batman and stuff, and they were just, that all of that hype that was in there. But obviously they cut that through. So I would have left that in, as a stinger. What I wouldn't have put is the nightmare sequence, because
No.
that to me was it was an okay scene, don't get me wrong, but it
Bit
had
off.
zero place in the movie. And on its own, I kind of was looking at it and thinking, why does it need to be in here? I don't get it. I don't understand why it's even there. All of it was Jared Leto's Joker basically insulting Batman about about it meant to be Jason Todd, but apparently, according to Zack Snyder, this is Dick Grayson.
I could have put up with it if it wasn't for the whole "who else would give you a reach around." Like when he got to that goofy little lines like that, I was like, "Oh man, come on."
Yeah, the whole point in that was basically because everybody was like, "Oh, what's the story behind that Robin suit?" Right, and then it was like, okay, let's make up this whole thing so we could do the story behind this. That doesn't need to be done. It could have just left that well alone.
I was hoping when he started doing the whole reach around thing, I was hoping that he was gonna be like which one of the Arkham games? Might be one of the last ones where Joker's dead, but Batman still sees him in his head. And I was hoping that this was gonna be revealed the same way.
Yeah, that's number 3. That is the third. That's not Origins. It's the other one. It might be Arkham Knight. Because in the second one, he's kind of like dead, and basically it's like you carry him out of the church kind of thing, and then after that, then yeah. So I think that's in Arkham Knight where he's kind of.
I was hoping that was going to be the case, and then we're going to see like Cyborg or Flash looking at Bruce, and he was just going to be staring off or into the distance. That he was actually all in his head, but no, it turned out it was. Really.
Yeah, and then obviously then we get the final part, which is the.
What angers me about these nightmare things, well, not anger, but it annoys me, is why do they happen? I've never got an explanation as to why Bruce is having visions. Why is Bruce Wayne having visions of the future? Like, why is no one asking that question? He's not psychic. Yeah. Like, there's no reason for it. People tried to say in BVS it was because of Flash, but Flash going through time shouldn't be giving him visions either. It's just, it doesn't. Why is it happening?
Yeah, I mean, the Flash basically going through time is telling him, that Lois is the key and all that kind of stuff. But that has no impact on him actually having knowledge of the future, unless there's somebody else who's giving him knowledge of the future, which is what a lot of people are talking about with Martian Manhunter. So this is the thing. This is when people start putting things into people's minds, right? Because Martian Manhunter comes at the end, and they're like, okay, well, why did you choose Martian Manhunter over? Obviously, we know that they could choose a Green Lantern, or whatever. But why did you choose Martian Manhunter over multiple other characters that you could have chosen, for example? The kind of theories that are going along DC fans online is pretty much the reason why they chose Martian Manhunter, because Martian Manhunter has an ability to read minds, control minds, psychic abilities, right?
Now, if the future though.
No, but he was like, another war is coming. I can see it. Blah blah. When he kind of speaks to Bruce Wayne at the end, then I agree that doesn't make a great deal of sense, and it doesn't make a great deal of sense knowing Martian Manhunter's power set. However, in Zack Snyder's mind, that is telling you Martian Manhunter knows that he's going. He's projecting psychically into Bruce's mind what's going on to make him prepared for what it is, because he's like, I've sat on the sidelines and now it's time to reveal myself. It's kind of, people are saying like, okay, well, he sat there, he did nothing apart from the fact of making Bruce prepared for it. Because when he says to him, your parents will be proud, everything that you've done, but it's kind of like, okay, well, not it was Agatha after, it's Martian Manhunter after all, right? Basically, Martian Manhunter was the guy who's projected
from that logic stuff. Like, it's bullshit to me. But if it was, that was a logical explanation for it, then that would lead me to believe that Martian Manhunter hates Superman, because Superman's always a villain in those visions and portrayed as being a threat. So he was suspicious of him or hates him and wants him out of the way. Because
Unless in this thing, because there's a thing, right? They always, this is one that my pet hates in comic books, right? They always confuse telepath and psychic, right?
Yeah.
Psychics can tell the future,
Yeah.
telepaths can read people's minds, right?
Yeah.
Or put thoughts in people's minds.
And telekinesis can move shit.
Yeah. They always get it wrong, right? And they're always saying Martian Manhunter is a psychic, which means that he can tell the future, right? But actually, in the comic book, it's like, no, he's telepathic in that he could read some other people's minds and stuff like that. So assuming this is kind of like taking that psychic idea that he could tell the future and then do it, but there's so much extrapolation to get to that point that you're kind of just, it's just like, I don't know.
Should have just been Ryan Reynolds. I would have been so happy with that. Just Ryan coming down. I was out in the Galactic. I heard this threat was coming. I tried to get back as soon as I can, but next time I'm here for you. Like, I've been happy with that.
Even if they didn't put Ryan Reynolds in it because they couldn't, literally, if he's just woken up by green light, he comes outside his house, he looks up, and then just blinding green light, and he's just like puts his hand in front of his eye, and it just cuts. Everybody would have been like, "That's just mental." Mate. Was that Green Lantern? Who was that? Whatever. So, what was your overall thoughts of the film? What would you rate it?
Out of, we're doing 10, 5.
What do you want to do? Do you want to do 5 or do you want to do 10?
Ooh, a bit more nuance with the 10. I'd still give it a strong 8.5. I enjoyed it still overall. There was still enough there. It was still very much an improvement. That I still had fun with it, regardless of some of the little issues here and there I had. Yeah. Still a fun ride.
I'd give it a solid 8. I liked it a lot. The score just was a thing that brings it down for me. That's the only thing I've got to say. I mean, people raving about Tom Holcombe's score. I can't see it. Maybe it's because I was on headphones or whatever. I don't know if it's would be different on a in the cinema or something like that.
My issue with the score is that it wasn't even just the music that they created, the Junkie XL music. It was just too much of it, too many inappropriate moments.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. You have different people have different ways of like showing the music and stuff like that. And I think Tom Holcombe's works in certain situations. Hans Zimmer is like an everyman, and it kind of works like, kind of everywhere. But I tell you, if they really were doing this properly, I would have put Ludwig Göransson in this, because he would have knocked it out of the park, man. All Ludwig Göransson stuff, if you want to basically like want to get amped up for a certain situation and stuff, he's the one who did the Creed soundtracks and stuff like that. And it's just like, the stuff that he creates literally just makes your adrenaline pump, makes you like, really, really get amped up there for it. So that's the thing that drops it down to an 8 there for me rather than higher. And also like silly pointless stuff like the nightmare scene, which I didn't think should be in there anyway. Just things like that I didn't like particularly. But otherwise, and one of my mates is like, who's the one who came with us to see Justice League there the first time. He was like, yeah, I give it a solid 8 out of 10, which is an improvement of the 1 out of 10 that I gave the first one. So yeah, definite improvement. I don't see it going anywhere, but let's see. Maybe an animated version might come out.
You gonna watch the Justice is Black and White, or whatever it's called, that they're teasing now? Is it even worth?
No. No, I'm not. Really? I'm not. I'll probably watch this again when it comes out on Blu-ray and stuff. Put it on better speakers and stuff at home, and then just watch it and then see what it's like, man. He'll probably put all his other deleted scenes in that Blu-ray as well, so watching all of those there as well.
Inevitably. When I get a new laptop, I really do want to. I'm curious to do my own little fan edit, just take out the stuff I personally don't like and just have my own version.
Yeah.
So
do
cool. And put my own original songs in out of the ones that I didn't like. That'd be cool.
Yeah, do it. I want to see what sea shanty Ed puts puts in that section. As long as it's not Pitbull and it's
Oh God,
that's not good in Aquaman, then
yeah,
then
and I
that's all
put
good.
that Batman scene with Wonder Woman back in, and I might even put the Aquaman one where he sits on the lasso
on the
as well.
lasso.
That was the other
Yeah.
one okay thing I would have kept. Beyond that, yeah.
Yeah. So guys, let us know what you thought about the film. There, you can email us at dcvsmarvelpod@gmail.com, or go to most active the Facebook page is DCVS Marvel Podcast. We've also got we're also on the YouTube page of the Voltron Network there as well.
Right.
And if you want to catch Ed in some other talking about other
Talking at the Movies podcast and all podcast platforms. We're also going to be doing another breakdown of Justice League Snyder Cut this week, so check that out. And that's also going to be on Voltron Network on YouTube as well.
Awesome. So, guys, we'll see you again next week, where we're going to be talking about multiple episodes of the Winter Soldier. Have you seen Winter Soldier yet?
Not yet.
No.
Save
Okay,
it for
so we're
Monday.
going to be talking about the first 2 episodes of that there as well, and all the other news that's coming out. Until then, guys, we'll see you again next time.
Later.